Hi, this is FUAD ABASOV, a broker with Right at Home Realty, and this is your monthly real estate statistics. As we ring in the new year, home buyers and sellers will be operating within a much different economic environment than we saw at the beginning of 2024. Toronto's real estate market may finally be seeing progressively more sales after a months-long slump, but the industry is still nowhere close to its usual frenzied pace, and it is buyers who are reaping rewards at the moment. Most of GTA neighborhoods were in underbidding territory in December, meaning most sellers accepted lower offers than they were hoping to get for their properties. Sale prices across GTA in December of 2024 were lower compared to those in December of 2023. Typically, middle of December were really quiet. Usually, the beginning of December it slows down, but the last 4 weeks of the month have been super busy. People have been making offers and getting deals done. Most sellers who listed their homes in December did it in anticipation of further rate cuts in 2025, while thinking to themselves that if they can get ahead of that curve and get in or get moved before there's any potential of madness, it will just be a calmer move, and if the numbers make sense, why not do it now? Why wait, basically? While sales are up significantly over last year and the market is gradually heating up, it is important to note that the market is still quite slow. Yes, we have picked up speed, but we're still moving slowly. Interest rates have dropped 1.75 basis points since July to 3.25%. Inflation has returned to 2% from 2.9% in January of 2024. And though the unemployment rate has gradually risen to 6.8%, it is not expected to worsen over the course of 2025. We're actually expecting growth to pick up a bit in 2025. On the inflation front, we're back to where we need to be, so the Bank of Canada can go ahead and cut rates if they feel they need to, which is good for housing. At the same time, we're in the midst of an affordability crisis. The reality is that valuations were so stretched the last couple of years that even though prices have come down and interest rates have come down, it is still not affordable for a lot of people. And while demand is on the rise, some unit types will move faster than others, impacting pricing as well. Notably, single-family homes are already seeing an increase in demand, while condominiums continue to be the outcasts of the Toronto housing market. The condo market is tough because there's so much of them out there and they're just sitting. It is an inventory issue. In fact, Toronto is currently grappling with almost 40,000 units of condo supply, a near record high. The cash flow dynamics for investors are similarly out of whack, and they will likely have to wait until rates drop considerably lower before re-entering the market. First-time buyers are going to make up a lot of the purchases in 2025 in my opinion, because they have not really been active in the last couple of years, when they just could not afford to get into the market with the rates at what they were in the past. And now, let's take a closer look at detached home sales in Toronto and surrounding areas. An average selling price of detached home in Toronto in December was $1.57 million, almost 2% decrease compared to the sale price of detached home in Toronto in December of last year. The amount of sold properties went down to 1.3%. The amount of new listings, however, increased to almost 30%. On average, it takes 39 days for a detached home to be sold in Toronto today. In Vaughan, average selling price of detached home in December rose to $1.76 million, 2.4% increase compared to December of last year. The amount of sold properties also increased by 33%. The amount of new listings went up by 28%. It takes on average about 36 days for a detached home to be sold in Vaughan today. In Richmond Hill, average selling price of detached home in December was $2.01 million, almost 19% increase compared to the price of last December. The amount of sold properties also went up by almost 55%. The amount of new listings increased by 73%, On average, it takes 40 days for a detached home to be sold in Richmond Hill today. Mississauga, average selling price of detached home in December was $1.47 million. The 1.15% decrease compared to the price of last December. The amount of sold properties increased by 9.7%. The amount of listings went up by 8%. On average, it takes about 40 days for a detached home to be sold in Mississauga today. In Markham, average selling price of a detached home in December was $1.65 million. Compared to last December, prices went down by almost 8%. The amount of sold properties went up by 23%. New listings went up by 36%. On average, it takes about 34 days for a detached home to be sold in Markham today. Newmarket, average selling price of a detached home in December was $1.22 million. Compared to last December, prices went down by almost 11%. The amount of sold properties also went down by 28%. New listings decreased by 9.3%. If you're willing and trying to sell your house in Newmarket today, on average it takes about 36 days for the sale to happen. In Aurora, average selling price of a detached home in December was $1.66 million. Slight increase in price compared to last December by 1.39%. The amount of sold properties went up by 8.3%. New listings increased by 50% compared to last December. On average, it takes about 34 days for a detached home to be sold in Aurora today. Innisfil, average selling price of a detached home was $813,000 in December. Compared to last December, prices went down by 6.7%. The amount of sold properties actually went up by 82%, and the amount of new listings was up by 22%. On average, it takes about 49 days for a detached home to be sold in Innisfil today. King City, average selling price of a detached home in December was $2.98 million. Compared to last December, prices went up by 17.4%. The amount of sold properties have increased by 150%, and the amount of new listings went down by 57%. On average, it takes almost 3 months for a detached home to be sold in King City today. In Bradford, average selling price of a detached home in December was $1.10 million. Increase compared to last December by 3.16% in price. The amount of sold properties was down by 21% compared to last December. The amount of new listings have increased by 83%. On average, it takes 37 days for a detached home to be sold in Bradford today. In Milton, average selling price of a detached home in December was $1.39 million. Compared to last December, it's an increase of 11.6%. The amount of sold properties went down by 12.7%. Amount of new listings was up by 4.3%. On average, it takes 36 days for a detached home to be sold in Milton today. In Stoufville, average selling price of a detached home compared to last December went down by 12.4% and was sitting at $1.36 million. The amount of sold properties was up by 32%. The amount of new listings was also up by 45%. On average, it takes 49 days for a detached home to be sold in Stoufville today. In Barrie, average selling price of a detached home compared to November went up a little bit and was sitting at $811,000. However, compared to last December, prices went down by almost 3%. The amount of sold properties in December increased by 33%. The amount of new listings increased by 39%. On average, it takes about 38 days for a detached home to be sold in Barrie today. In Oakville, average selling price of a detached home in December was $2.12 million. Compared to last December, prices went down by 2.2%. The amount of sold properties went down by 35%. New listings have increased by 16%, and on average it takes about 41 days for a detached home to be sold in Oakville today. I think we're going to have a very busy and strong market starting by mid-February, and we'll see an uprise in terms of people bringing their houses to the market to beat the spring and summer rush. If you'd like to receive your own personalized sales report about home sales in your neighborhood, please call me at 647-801-3401 or email me at sold@fuadhomes.com. Thanks for watching and see you next month.